Concerns over a makeshift homeless encampment. The hospital hires an Indigenous care coordinator. And party leaders are back on the campaign trail. Good evening, I'm Ryan Bonazzo. Thank you for joining us. A makeshift encampment used by transient people around County Fair Mall has sparked an emergency meeting called by Mayor Bill Mauro. He's gathering community partners next week to address the situation and discuss homelessness overall in the community. Over the past few months, there have been growing concerns by shoppers and management at County Fair about the increased presence of homeless people on an abandoned gas bar property next to the mall. The city is working with more than 20 different organizations to tackle the various aspects of homelessness, but Mauro says this specific concern is complicated as it's on private property.
The complexities of this particular situation is that it is on private property, and so this is another area where we have, for example, we talk about the different groups that are involved, where city bylaw is involved as well. So we're trying to establish through the owner some particular, whatever may be possible in terms of getting the private property owner to take whatever action is necessary. So sometimes it's not as simple as it may appear to the community.
Officials with the mall ownership say they've added security staff to address customer concerns about the encampment. But because someone else owns that property, they've been asking the city, social service agencies, and city police to intervene with little success. Some of those sheltering at the gas bar insist it's safer for them to be in public view, as others they know have been assaulted while sheltering in the bush. One man says the group isn't hurting anyone. He notes they try to keep the area as clean as possible. The Thunder Bay Regional Hospital and Grand Council Treaty 3 are working together to better support First Nations patients. The hospital recently welcomed its first Indigenous care coordinator. As Cory Nordstrom reports, Joelle Mandamin's role is to smooth the transition for patients and improve health outcomes.
Joelle Mandamin is 2 months into her role as Thunder Bay Regional's first Indigenous care coordinator, and with a smile on her face, says some days she can hardly catch her breath. Originally from Shoal Lake 40, Mandamin graduated Lakehead's nursing program in 2020 and worked at the hospital until the new position was created.
I feel like there's been I've provided a lot of support. People sometimes don't know what questions to ask. Sometimes they feel too scared or worried to voice their concerns to the doctors or nurses. So I've been there to be that voice for them when they were too maybe shy or scared to do so themselves.
It really helps to improve the navigation process and really understand what's happening, and really help to understand and improve both the experience on the coming into the Health Sciences Center and then going back out, recognizing what each unique community has within their own community from a health perspective.
In 2020, an Indigenous woman named Joyce Echequan recorded her mistreatment at a Quebec hospital where she eventually passed away. Mandamin says her role will hopefully combat that issue.
It was very tragic to see that video and to know about what took place. So, I'm really hoping that, voices will be heard and, people feel supported.
The hospital partnered with Grand Council Treaty 3 while in the hiring process of Mandamin. Crocker-Ellacott says they are looking to eventually hire additional Indigenous care coordinators representing other territories.
We're working in collaboration right now to determine if we can extend those partnerships to 3, 4 more or whatever it takes.
Cory Nordstrom, TBT News.
For the second straight day, Ontario is reporting more than 800 new COVID-19 cases. There are 807 infections today. 628 are among those who aren't fully vaccinated or have an unknown vaccination status. 179 cases are in people who've had both shots. There's good news on the vaccination front across the province, however. Appointments more than doubled on Thursday, just 24 hours after the government announced plans for a vaccine certificate. Natalie Johnson has that story.
In the wake of this week's announcement that Ontarians would soon require a vaccine certificate to access non-essential services, there has been a surge in people seeking shots.
Now it's mandatory, so I kind of decided just to get a jump at it before, everyone else decided to, the long lines.
I just wasn't very confident about this vaccine. And to be honest, I'm still not, but I'm doing the right thing.
I wasn't sure if I'm gonna get it or not. So.
For me, it was just the lines. Like going to work every day, I would always come through here, or I was always pass through here, and there would just be lines just down the street, and it would just be crazy. And I thought, I was just gonna wait.
The province administered close to 44,000 doses yesterday. Nearly half were first doses. The last time 21,000 first shots were given in a day was in early July.
The vaccine certificate or vaccine passport system's likely to help nudge people that were perhaps sitting on the fence. That'll probably nudge those individuals to get vaccinated. But this alone will not, take us the final mile. We still need outreach to under-vaccinated communities. We still need excellent interaction between people with ongoing questions, anxieties.
The entire idea, of course, is to keep people healthy, but it's also to ensure that schools stay open first and foremost, and that businesses and other kinds of places, whether it be sporting venues or concerts, can stay open, and that everybody is kept safe. And I will just say, of course, many of those appointments that are made through the provincial booking system are made in Toronto. So in that sense, we will see people getting vaccinated in increased numbers. We still had many, many people walking in yesterday to get their vaccination.
Meanwhile, a new Leger poll has found that 80% of Canadians support the introduction of a vaccine passport in their province. Ontario's vaccine certificate program takes effect September 22nd. Anyone 12 and up without a medical exemption will require proof of COVID-19 vaccination to access non-essential services like indoor dining, theaters, and gyms.
The Ford government has prorogued the Ontario legislature until after the federal election. Government House Leader Paul Calandra says the legislature will return October 4th. Legislators were expected to come back from summer break on September 13th. But the government says the federal election has caused too much uncertainty, and the province wants to see the results before finalizing the fall legislation. Meanwhile, our local coverage of the 2021 federal election continues. Tonight, we bring you more from the Thunder Bay Superior North riding. Adam Riley shines a spotlight on the candidates running for the People's Party of Canada and the Libertarian Party.
The People's Party of Canada is just 3 years old, and it's in its second ever federal election. In 2019, the party failed to win a single seat nationally, and in Thunder Bay Superior North, it placed fifth with just 725 votes. However, this time they have a new voice reaching out to voters in the riding. Geraldton resident Rick Daines. A former OPP officer, Daines bought a local grocery store, never once thinking he would ever run for office. But now he is, and was attracted to the PPC by the party's 4 basic tenets: respect, responsibility, fairness, and freedom. He believes it's been a top-down, one-way discussion between the government and the Indigenous peoples of the land. He wants to stop the alarmism around climate change and is no fan of the government being the sole source of information on COVID-19, and believes change for the region and the country can start with his party.
I feel like there's been things going on with our current government and our current situations in the world that I feel like it's everybody's responsibility to stand up and speak up. And I felt that this was an opportunity that was presented to me where I have a chance to truly put in my efforts and to hopefully make a difference.
Also from the region, vying for the opportunity to represent Thunder Bay Superior North and Ottawa is Marathon resident and returning Libertarian candidate Alex Vodden. In 2019, the Libertarians garnered 136 votes. Vodden says the region needs support for its mining and forestry sectors and believes the federal government interferes too much in the affairs of Indigenous peoples, suggesting giving treaty areas the same sovereignty as provinces are given.
Our finances aren't great in the country, but I really dislike the social conservatism that comes with most right-leaning parties, right? So I find the Libertarian is a healthy mix of both financial responsibility and while still maintaining a leftist social policies.
Canadians will head to the polls on September 20th. Adam Riley, TBT News.
A 33-year-old Thunder Bay man is facing an assault with a weapon charge following an incident Thursday evening. Thunder Bay police were dispatched to the 300 block of Ogden Street just before 6:30 following reports that a 28-year-old man had been the victim of an assault. Officers say the victim appeared to have injuries consistent with a stabbing. The suspect was taken into custody at the Intercity Shopping Centre. He's since been released with a future court date. Lakehead University President Moira McPherson hosted an outdoor event last night to welcome students back to Thunder Bay. Classes begin on Tuesday, and LU officials are celebrating a return to more in-person learning and other campus operations. William Dougal has more.
Over 1,200 students are enrolled for this year's orientation week, hosted by various groups within the university. And the week aims to help students successfully transition into university life through multiple hybrid events and activities. Following a difficult year during the pandemic, University President Myra McPherson says she is ecstatic about students returning to campus.
It's absolutely wonderful. I think our whole university community is buzzing. It's so great to see our students arriving, checking in, starting their orientation activities, and everybody just feeling a sense of excitement for the new year.
Despite the return to campus, the pandemic is yet again ramping up towards a fourth wave. But McPherson says the university will be in adherence with any and all directives from healthcare officials.
We're prepared, we're ready to provide safe learning for our students, return to the campuses, but of course we will respond as necessary to keep our community safe.
Orientation activities and the arrival of new students will continue until next Thursday. William Dougal, TBT News.
After several years of obstacles and delays, the new quad chairlift at Mount Baldy Ski Resort is starting to take shape. The Kardas family has been working on the big project since they purchased the ski hill, and with the completion yesterday of the concrete foundation for Tower Number 5, the chairlift is now one step closer to reality. A helicopter was needed to lower in the concrete for the foundation as the slope was too steep for a truck to reach. With all the tower foundations now complete, all that remains is for the towers themselves to be put in place and the cable to be installed before the new quad lift will be operational. For co-owner Jason Kardas, yesterday was a day full of emotions, knowing that plans are finally starting to come together.
As soon as we finished that, honestly, it was so emotional to have it done and draining that you know you're done all the work. And so we see light at the end of the tunnel, and the process has definitely been interesting though, because I never in my lifetime thought I'd be doing a chairlift install, but we are, and we're learning it and we're there. So we see a finish line up ahead here.
Kardas believes the chairlift will be ready to go by the end of November and says the family wants to thank the community for its continued support over the past 3 years. The brand new splash pad at the Northwood Playfield opened today, just in time for the long weekend. It's the city's 5th splash pad and will be accessible this weekend until they all close for the season on Monday night. Construction on the splash pad started in mid-May and was scheduled to be fully functional by mid to late August. With only a few days before all splash pads are closed, manager of Parks and Open Spaces, Cory Halvorsen, still wanted to give people a few days to experience it. He says the need is high and that the new splash pad is in a great area.
Yeah, it was very important. We've been pushing to achieve an opening date this summer, and because it, just to go through all the construction and everyone have everyone see it being built, the anticipation to be able to use it was high. So we're really happy that we're able to open it for the final weekend.
Beyond the splash pad itself, the city added a pedestrian crosswalk to enhance overall safety in the park and continues to work to improve drainage in the area. Halvorsen says there are still a few finishing touches they want to add before the grand opening next spring, like more picnic tables and benches, a canopy, and some decals.
Well, Avery, I was pretty worried that